Marvel Rivals Season 4.5 is bringing some massive meta changes, from previous S-tier characters no longer being S, and the new hero Daredevil shaking up the complete meta. Today we're taking a look at some of the stuff in Season 4.5 and giving a meta prediction, what characters will be good in certain roles, and what you should be looking out for come Season 4.5. And of course, if you're new here or find yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't already subscribed, why not? It's completely free and you're coming back anyways. While you're at it, don't forget that like button and don't forget to hit that hype button as well. But without further ado, let's dive straight in. So what was the meta for Season 4? Well, the meta for Season 4 was Triple Strategist. Triple Strategist used to be played with Karmic Revival team-up ability, but with the changes done in Season 4, it pushed the narrative of Triple Strategist even more so, with the likes of Jeff the Landshark getting a buff, Mantis getting a buff, and Ultron getting a buff as well. These were the main heroes you were seeing be played in Triple Strategist team compositions, and of course Adam Warlock as well. But what made Triple Strategist so good in Season 4? Now, why was Triple Strategist so strong in Season 4? Or why is it so strong? One of the factors is the Duelist damage and the Strategist damage comparison. Duelists from other games and DPS typically do a lot of damage. That's why you play Duelists in a 2-2-2 composition. Well, when you have a character like Ultron, Adam, Mantis, Jeff that can do damage or have enough kill potential similar to a duelist, why not just pick another strategist? And that's kinda where the problem arises from. A lot of these strategists do a lot of damage. So it's kinda, why just pick a duelist when you can have a third strategist with more utility, more healing, more self-sufficiency, and more sustain in the neutral? Well, that's the reason why we're playing it. Now, to further prove this point or show you why the meta was so strong, we can look at the hero hot list on the 2nd of October. And when we see Magneto, of course, being probably the best tank besides Emma, but we have 1 strategist, 2 strategists, 3 strategists, 4 strategists, 5 strategists. And then a little bit further down, you'll get characters like Ultron Mantis. Now you might be saying, cool, but what's the point? Well, we see that these characters have an extremely high pick rate. Now, Jeff has a 13, which is relatively high. It's higher than Emma, which is kinda interesting. The fact that a character like Jeff has such a high pick rate in Grandmaster is a little bit concerning when we look at what is happening. You can see why Triple Strategist is so effective, because the Triple Strategist characters in quotations, example, Jeff the Landshark, Ultron further down, and Mantis towards the top all have about a 50% win rate. And when you think about it, all these characters having a 50% win rate, it's no wonder that Triple Strategist is so strong. It's just the amount of sustain, the amount of damage potential you get with the damage boost, and just the healing and brawl. Everything else about it is why it's so strong. Especially when certain characters like Phoenix, Human Torch were so dominant as well. Those characters typically get banned out, then you just play Triple Strategist by default. That's just kind of how it goes. For the most part, I would like to see a overall nerf to strategies in terms of damage output, because I think it would just be a lot healthier for the game in general. You can disagree with me all you want, that's perfectly fine, but when you look at it of having this game extremely healthy, having duelists or having strategists that do a ton of damage and do a decent amount of healing, it kind of shows duelists that they're not really relevant or as important as you might be thinking. Now, the sad part is 4.5, if we look at the patch notes, and we scroll all the way down to strategists, we don't really see changes to the strategist section. All we see is Cloak and Dagger energy cost increase, which isn't the end of the world. That's a perfectly fine change. We see Jeff the Landshark reduce crit hit reduction from his headshot from 70 to 50%. Doesn't really change anything. We see a rocket buff that goes from a 25% damage boost to a 40%, which is on par with Luna Snow now, so you can combo those two and do an insane amount of damage. The only kind of relative change was made to Ultron, and they reduced his healing and increased his energy cost. You might be thinking that's great, but the problem wasn't his healing, in my opinion. The problem is Ultron's damage. We pick Ultron mainly for the fact that he gets his ult extremely fast, so that was changed, which is good. The other reason why we pick Ultron is because he does a ton of damage in the neutral, and he can do an insane amount of damage. So it doesn't really make sense to why they're reducing the healing. Yes, it's going to be getting you less value to get your ultimate, but you're still going to be doing a ton of damage that this change ultimately doesn't really matter, and this change doesn't do anything to the character as well. He already did pretty much no healing, and it's only a 5 healing change, which isn't the end of the world for this character. So triple strategist, because none of the other characters were touched, definitely is still going to be the meta in Season 4.5, unfortunately. And you might be thinking, Duck, where do characters like Phoenix, where do characters like Psylocke, Human Torch kind of fit? Well, in my personal opinion, come Season 4.5, characters like the Human Torch, who used to be a S tier character, mega broken, is definitely knocked down a tier, definitely A tier now. He still can be played. Yes, the changes are significant, but he still does quite a bit of damage. And the whole fact is, during Plasma Body, they're reducing his movement speed from 900 to 850. That was his whole thing. He was super mobile in the air. Now, hopefully your hit scan characters can take out a Human Torch, so he definitely does move down a tier like I was talking about. A character like Hela does not need a buff. She was already super strong in my opinion, so it's kind of interesting that they're doing this route. And then when we look at Iron Fist, he's going more into a Vanguard Strider again. He previously was. And then they nerfed him, they changed him, they reverted. Now they're going reversion again. He's going to be doing more damage per max strike. It's a fine change. The big thing is Phoenix. Her melee attacks no longer stack sparks, and she can't do the Beyblade tech that we've all seen. Now look, some people are like, oh, the character's dead now because she can no longer melee attacks, no longer stack sparks. You have to remember, this character is a ranged duelist. She's Hela, essentially, with more damage. The character is still insane. The character still does a ton of damage. All she can do now is no longer be the best melee character in the game. Just because she's no longer the best melee character in the game doesn't mean she's not the best hit scan character in the game anymore. That's literally the only difference. You can't point blank people, you just have to play like Hela, which, in my opinion, still makes the character perfectly fine, still like S tier plus plus, still pick ban. You might be, again, complaining that the melee was a big factor, yes, but it doesn't change how strong her kit in general is. And then Psylocke, this is a big change. You can essentially 2-tap anyone with her ultimate now, no matter what, which is a kind of interesting change. So I think Psylocke gets bumped up a tier again, back into the S tier category. So for the most part, and we're going to be seeing a lot more Venom as well. Yes, Feast of the Best now applies a 30% healing reduction to enemies hit, but it doesn't really matter. You would already one-shot enemies inside of your ultimate with a damage boost, but this ensures that he's going to be getting that one-shot now even more so. For the most part, I don't see any changes in the meta. I think Daredevil does bring in some interesting ideas of how to play, flankers or some type of dive characters. You could go for more of a dive composition. You could see 2-2-2 more. You could see like Venom with a Magneto. Then you have a Psylocke Daredevil. Then you have a Jeff, maybe Mantis. It's so interesting because I think I think Daredevil does add a lot to the game. He's a very unique character, very interesting character. Hopefully when he gets added from the early access build, they don't touch his damage. I think the character needs to be doing that damage, otherwise it's going to be a little underwhelming, unfortunately. I don't think he should yo-yo or, hook people with the broken tech, but they're already fixing that, so that's good. I do think Daredevil adds uniqueness to the game. So to go back and really talk about what is happening. So the meta for Season 4.5, what do I think it's going to be? That is the ultimate question. Well, in my personal opinion, I don't think the meta is going to be changing whatsoever in terms of triple strategists. I still think triple strategist is going to be extremely valuable and extremely strong, mainly due to the fact that changes to certain heroes of strategists in Season 4.5 weren't addressed. In terms of duelists, what do I think is going to be strong? Well, characters like Phoenix is still probably going to be the top duelist, mainly due to the fact that, yes, they removed the Beyblade tech, the melee, but that wasn't really why the character was so strong. That definitely was a contributing factor, but the factor was that the character just did an insane amount of damage regardless if you did melees or not. I think them removing the melee tech just changes the playstyle of the character. They're changing it more from just being in your face to playing like how the character was supposed to be played, like a Hela, going for side angles, going for off angles, going for flanks, everything like that. It doesn't change the amount of damage the character does, it doesn't change the amount of impact or damage boost combos or anything like that. On the other side, I think a character like Human Torch is greatly affected by the nerfs he received in Season 4.5. Now you might be wondering, oh, they keep nerfing Torch to the ground. The character is going to be unplayable. I think the character will still be playable. I think he will still do a lot of damage. I just don't think he's going to be as a high of priority as a character like Phoenix. And like I said, you might be sitting here thinking you're a Human Torch main. You're like, oh, they keep nerfing my character. I hate it. Well, if you look at any pro match in Season 4 or Season 3.5, you see the character was probably either picked or banned. Regardless, the character was extremely strong. Some people just didn't understand why the character was so strong. Then we look at our Vanguards, and all of the meta Vanguards from Season 4 are still going to be meta in Season 4.5. That is your Emma Frost, that is your Magneto, your Doctor Strange, I would kind of say as well, your Captain America, your Venom. They're all extremely strong, not changed whatsoever, so definitely characters to be looking out for. If you're trying to pick up Vanguards for Season 4.5, those are the characters you should be looking at. In terms of strategists that you should be looking to pick up in Season 4.5, pretty much every single strategist is perfectly fine, with the exception of, I don't know, maybe a Loki. Loki is still perfectly strong, in my opinion. He's still very good. Yes, they butchered his kit, but the reason why we pick Loki is for his copy, his ultimate, and his regeneration domain ability. Those two abilities are still extremely strong, so the character can still be picked. However, we're shifting again still to triple strategists, so keeping in mind characters like Mantis, Adam, Ultron, Jeff. You could even throw Rocket in now, especially with the changes. I think are all still great picks if you're trying to pick up a strategist. Then I want to talk about a character like Daredevil. Now, Daredevil is a very unique character they're bringing in Season 4.5. Honestly, a very fun character to play. I had a ton of fun playing him in early access, and I highly encourage you to check out my guide coming out on Saturday, the 11th of October. Definitely recommend checking that out. So definitely subscribe so you can come see it. But going back to the topic, Daredevil. The character, like I said, is extremely unique, and I think he offers a lot that none of the other duelists really offer in terms of melee duelists. He has a very unique kit, a super extreme high skill ceiling. The character does take a lot of skill, a lot of practice to really master and understand. So I think if you're looking for a challenging duelist to pick up for Season 4.5 that you think you would have a ton of fun on, then Daredevil, if you can lock him in time, is definitely the character to be checking out for. I think he will add some sort of uniqueness to how matches are going to be getting played in Season 4.5 at middle to high elo and even pro play. He's one of those characters that can pretty much do it all. He's going to be flanking the enemy team's strategists. He's going to be taking one-on-one duels. He's going to be marking flankers for the teammates. He's pretty much the do-it-all character like I was saying. And with the addition of Daredevil, you might see, again, a rise in triple strategists even more so because Daredevil can be pretty annoying to deal with, and one of the best ways at countering a flanker in this game, unfortunately, is triple strategist, so them adding that, this reinforced triple strategist even more. But what do you think? Of course, drop your thoughts, subscribe, and follow for more. I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.